Howdy, y'all. Matt here, Seattle Speed Shop, and this is episode 1 of the Blue Channeled Roadster project. I figured we'd start out with just telling you kind of how I got the car and what I know about it, and what our future plans, and I'll show you kind of all the issues with it, and yeah, we'll go from there. So basically, this car story of it in my life started out almost 10 years ago. I think it was 9 years ago, coming up this May. But anyways, it was like 6 months after I bought the black truck. I was vending at the Puyallup swap meet, and an older guy walks into my booth, and I've got a bunch of Ford parts sitting around, so it's obvious I'm into Model A's and early Fords and stuff like that. So he asked me if I had a door for a 3031 Roadster, and I kind of chuckled and I said no. If I had a door for a Roadster, I'd probably build a car around it, kind of just tongue-in-cheek. I hadn't owned a Roadster at that point, or even seen one I could afford for sale. But I'd had my coupe, and I had a sedan and a couple, 2 or 3 pickup cabs, and my black truck. So anyways, we kind of talked for a bit, and he just, told me he had a rusty body he was looking for a door for. And that was kind of it. He went on his way, and I didn't really think anything of it. Looking back, I should have asked him if he wanted to sell it. But anyways, he came back later that day, and he actually asked me if I would be interested in the Roadster body. I think just saying that I would build a car around a door surprised him, and he I guess he took pity on me. Anyways, it was Memorial Day weekend, and so he was busy on Monday. Banks are closed. He didn't give me a price. He just said, come over and, take a look at it, and we'll work something out. And so, I figured I needed to bring, a significant amount of cash. And anyways, I had to wait till Tuesday, and it was like it was Sunday and Monday. It was just the longest couple days of my life to go look at this car. And so I show up on that Tuesday, and this body and like the front axle, and it didn't have a grill, but there's like a set of headlights on like the cast aluminum stands. They're back there somewhere. I should have grabbed those. And just various parts. And I'm gonna grab you guys and we'll go have a look-see. Anyways, I walked up and you saw this side of the car, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I walked around to the driver's side. Mind you, it's just a body. There wasn't a frame or anything. I walk around and this is the door that was on it. That's the quarter panel. So as you can see, it's rough. But it's definitely, it's an old hot rod. And the cool thing was about it, his dad had bought this in, he said 1965, because he wanted the 32 grill shell that was on it for his 32 sedan restoration. And so he bought it and parted out the car. And basically this body sat on that driver's side of the car for 40 years in a shed. And rats made a nest in it and just rusted it all out. So anyways, I got the car for cheap enough that I wasn't worried about it. I figured I could buy a whole new Brookville side for it and still, you know, it was probably worth it. You know, it came with the dropped axle, and it actually still had the plate. It was last registered in '66. This car's out of Pierce County, down by like Tacoma area, South Sound. So, you know, it had 50 Pontiac taillights in it, cycle fenders, obviously channeled. You know, it's definitely old, kind of crappy work, but you know, I figured there was enough here that it'd be cool to kind of save this. I mean, like, I had never even owned a Roadster at this point, and here all of a sudden I had a legit, like, you know, at the very latest it was a 60s built hot rod. I think it was probably built in the late 50s, early 60s, driven for a couple years, and then taken off the road. The gentleman I got it from is the son of the guy who bought it and parted it out, and he remembers it, seeing it as a kid. I guess he was in like his 20s or something, and he said the frame was just a mess. So they threw that away, and the engine ended up in something else, and the body just sat. So when he heard me say that I'd build a car around a door, he decided I was the guy that was going to get this thing. So anyways, I bought it, and I sat on it for a lot of years. I was able to source the door that's on it now and the quarter panels. I actually just got the original cowl panel to fix it, and I actually did pretty well on like the doors, that I was able to buy a pair and sell one, and you know, pay for most of mine, and then same with the quarter panel. And actually the funny thing is, the quarter panel and the doors and the frame are all off the same car that ended up getting Brookville parts and is on a 32 frame now with a Hemi. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of, you know, I don't know, it's just interesting that I ended up with the same parts from that, I guess. So I didn't mock this up until, I didn't even have the chassis for it until like 2 years ago or something. And a buddy of mine had bought it and installed an engine and trans in it, a 59 AB and a top loader, and had stock Model A suspension in it, and he put a V8 rear end in it and moved the rear axle forward by just using the spring behind rear end in the stock A-frame. So I just wanted it because the frame came from the same car, and I had kind of other plans for how it was going to be built. So I got that, and like I scored that this grill shell came from an interior decorator in like I found it on Instagram, and she was like selling it as like a, you know, shabby chic wall hanger type thing. And I was able to pick that up for ridiculously cheap. You don't even want to know. That's how cheap. So I'm really not into this car for a ton of money at this point. Like for the frame, I took the transmission out and rebuilt it and made most of the money back on the frame. I've got a 37 LaSalle trans, in it. I'm going to put a 59 AB in it. I'd really like to, this is just a mock-up motor right now, but I'd really, that's the one that's going in it, that blue one back there. anyways, I'd really like to run a like 371 blower on this at some point. I know that's kind of way further down the line, but yeah. Anyways, so now I kind of just been collecting parts for this thing. It took me a few years to find the quarter panels and the door, and I just didn't want to spend a lot of money on this car. I mean, I'm cheap by nature. I got no problem spending other people's monies on their cars. But I kind of enjoy the challenge of trying to build like ultra traditional hot rods, kind of scrounging them up. And I don't know, I've proven pretty good at it over the years. But anyways, I kind of mocked up the frame with another frame section, kind of doing a fake step with just the clamps holding it together, and got the wheelbase kind of back where it should be. And he had set the engine back to use the 59 AB fan setup, and I actually, with installing the LaSalle Transit, pushed the engine like 3 inches forward, so we're pretty close to where it should be for like a, you know, placement in a stock Model A. I may kind of push it as far forward as I can. In my head, I'm kind of thinking keep it stock wheelbase of whatever the Model A's are, 103 or 104 or whatever they are. Though I kind of think I'll need some extra room if I'm going to put a blower on it, so maybe that's not a great idea. I'm still kind of playing with it. I'm not... I haven't even had room to really work on it until, you know, I moved into this new shop. For those that don't know me, like I was in a 2-car garage building cars for most of my adult life, and I was basically building them in the driveway most of the time. I built the truck there, and getting into this huge space is really a blessing. Anyways, my point is I just didn't have room to work on this thing, especially because, like, you know, I need to take the body off. I need to be able to work on the frame. And you know, it's a big project. But I'm kind of ready to tackle it. You know, I think this thing was... those mounts are kind of bent, so it's hard to tell, but I think it was a little bit lower in the rear, obviously, like maybe 2 or 3 inches. I think it had like a wood dash in it. Had swinging pedals. I've still got the original gas tank. It was filled. Yeah, I don't know. My plan is, you know, fix the body. Let's get it kind of not a complete pile of shit that looks like it was drug up from the Titanic. And, you know, put a floor in it, get it kind of more stable. The doors were kind of just tack welded shut on this thing. It doesn't have any latches in it, so I kind of think they just hopped over and the doors were welded shut on it. It was kind of finished, but I don't think it was finished super nice at any time. You know, we'll see. It's you know, obviously old, you know, old work. I've got another firewall I want to put in it, and I am going to change some stuff. This car's not nice. It wasn't like, I don't think it was in a magazine. I mean, it's cool that it's got the plate that it had on it, and it's an old hot rod. You know, it had cycle fenders, and you know, it's a cool old car. I kind of want to, you know, keep some of its flair. I'm gonna keep the gas fill like that. I'm gonna put a 36 dash in it, I think. Kind definitely, I'm going to keep it channeled. I want to repaint it the same blue. I'm going to use the drop axle that it had, even though I'm not using, it had like a set of 36 wishbones that were pie cut and ran a spring in front. So, you know, the wheel center line was probably moved back a little bit. I'm just trying to make it more kind of keep the theme of the car, but we don't strictly need to build it exactly how it was. I'd much rather have a stock firewall that's cut than this welded in lumpy mesh they put in the front. And you know, I don't want to change things too much. I just want to tune it up a little bit, make it a little bit cleaner and nicer of a car. I'm really excited just because this is it was a legit hot rod. It most of what I build is just kind of bolt together stock Model A with a dropped axle and juice brake conversion and some speed parts. This one's a little bit more involved, a little bit more welding. So I think this is going to be a really cool car. Let me know what you think. If you got any ideas, I'm not sure I'm going to run the cycle fenders. Those are maybe I'll make a pair that can come on and come off or something. I'm going to run kind of the same size tires, front and rear. I have a set of high dome beanies to replace the Ford Deluxe caps. Yeah, I'm going to try and use that old plate. So, let's see, I'm just trying to see if I can spot the headlights. I don't know, they're somewhere. So yeah, this is it. I call this car Susie, the little blue Roadster. I don't know if you know, I don't know who made it, but there's an old 1952 cartoon called Susie the Little Blue Coupe, even though it looks like a Roadster to me. It was about a car that gets bought and loved and then ends up in a junkyard and, because it'd been wrecked and stolen and all this stuff. But it's just about the life of the car, and then this young kid buys it and fixes it up and kind of turns it into a hot rod. Actually, I'll post a link below in the description. If you haven't seen that, you can watch that. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the inspiration for this car. I just want to give it new life, and we'll keep the flavor, but update it for a little bit. Just using the parts I got and what I want to do with it, and we'll go from there. Yeah, if you got any questions, go ahead and comment, and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And from what I understand, that really helps us out. So yeah, this is the first episode. I think next we're going to pull the body off. I'd really like to kind of get it one piece. We're gonna pull the body off and try and replace those panels and square it up, and just kind of gotta do the firewall, cowl, door, quarter. I've got a lower tail or lower trunk panel to replace that rippled piece. I probably need to get a deck lid. I might try reskinning this one. Yeah, we're just gonna kind of start fixing that. Once the body's kind of more solid, I want to kind of set the wheelbase. I need to make that decision, but I figure just getting the body solid is a good first step. So I'll have to round up a couple buddies and get them over here to help me, and yeah, I'd probably clean up a little bit, make some room. As you can see, there's a bunch of engines sitting over here. So yeah, thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next time. I think we'll I don't know. I think we can build something cool here. So wish me luck.